Every single day, countless men unlock their phones, only to find silence. No missed calls. No new messages. Just echoes of a connection that used to feel alive. They scroll through old photos, replay conversations that once meant everything, reread texts that once held warmth, now just digital dust. If you've ever asked yourself, why did she stop reaching out? Why am I always the one chasing? How did we go from constant connection to cold distance? You're not overreacting. You're not imagining things. And you're definitely not alone. What you're feeling isn't just confusion, it's the sting of emotional imbalance. The quiet breakdown of a bond that once felt mutual. No one prepared you for this kind of ache. No one told you how painful it would be to feel invisible to someone who once saw all of you. But today, right here, that changes. Because we're going to break it down, why it happens, what it really means, and the steps you can take to reclaim your sense of power, clarity, and peace. And if any part of this resonates with you, if it feels like I'm speaking directly to your heart, then support this channel. Subscribe and share. Not just for you, but for the thousands of other men out there, quietly hurting, quietly searching, who need to hear this truth too. Because together we're building more than a channel. We're building a movement, a place where men finally get the insight, the voice, and the strength they've always deserved. If you're always the one texting first, always the one keeping the conversation alive, always the glue holding it all together, that's not just coincidence. That's communication. That's a pattern. And patterns mean something. When she stops calling, stops checking in, fades into silence, it's not by chance. It's a choice. People don't misplace what matters to them. And no one lets go of what they truly want to keep. You've got to stop telling yourself she's just caught up, distracted, or lost in her own world. Because the truth is, people make time for what they care about. No one is too busy to simply show they care. When someone wants to stay in your life, they don't vanish, they show up. Her silence isn't background noise. It's a loud signal. A headline you've been trying to ignore. Because silence in a relationship? It's never just nothing. It's not innocent. It's not neutral. It's a response. A loud one. Every ignored message, every missed call, every post she shares while your message sits unopened, that silence is talking. Loud and clear. Not through words but through what she does. And actions always tell the real story. When she goes quiet, it's not because she forgot how to speak. It's because she doesn't need to anymore. When her replies go from warm to distant, when the emojis disappear, and her texts become dry, short, and spaced out, it's not because she doesn't have anything to say. It's because she no longer wants to say it. She's not invested in the connection anymore because emotionally she's already stepping back. This silence? It's not soft. It's not accidental. It's calculated. It's the quiet fade out of someone slowly letting go. It's emotional detachment unfolding in slow motion. A choice made over time, not all at once. And the more you brush it off, the more you convince yourself it's no big deal, the more you end up tying your self-worth to her absence. You start thinking, maybe if I just say the right thing, maybe if I hold on a little longer, maybe she'll come back. But what you're really doing is letting her silence speak louder than your own voice. So you rationalize. She's probably tired. Or overwhelmed. Maybe just having a rough week. You hand her every excuse you can think of because the truth is too sharp to face. But deep down you already know. You feel it every time you hit send and get nothing. Every time you reach out and silence answers. That weight in your chest? That knot in your stomach? That's not doubt. That's the truth you've been trying to ignore. That uneasy feeling in your gut? That's your intuition trying to shake you awake. And if you keep ignoring it, if you keep pretending her silence doesn't mean something, you'll stay stuck in the same painful cycle. You'll keep pouring in effort while she drifts further away. You'll keep trying to prove your worth to someone who stopped looking for it. You'll keep surrendering your power to someone who doesn't even realize or care that they're holding it. This isn't about blaming her. It's about seeing clearly. It's about stepping out of the haze of denial and into the light of truth. Because when someone wants you, you feel safe. When they don't, you feel it too. But instead of peace, it burns. One makes you feel chosen. The other teaches you that you're standing where you're no longer needed. Her silence isn't harsh. It's honest. And the only real question is, will you keep silencing your own truth? Or will you finally hear what it's been telling you all along and reclaim your voice? Because every time you whisper, "She's probably just busy," you're not being kind. You're turning your back on what your heart already knows. You keep quieting that little voice inside, the one already whispering that something feels off. But that voice? That's your gut. That's your emotional compass. And every time you silence it, you're not being patient or understanding, you're turning your back on yourself. Let's be real, people make time for what matters. They don't forget those they truly want around. Still, you keep finding ways to excuse her absence. You tell yourself she's busy, that she's stressed, that life just got in the way. That any day now she'll snap back into who she used to be. But deep down, you know. You feel it in the quiet. In the way her energy fades when you walk in. In the way your name no longer brings that spark. And yet, you avoid the truth. Because facing it hurts more than holding on to the version of her you've created in your head. But what is that fantasy really costing you? Traps you. Slowly. A soft loop that starts with maybe tomorrow and ends in maybe if I try harder. So you do. You give more. You text longer. You try to be lighter, more thoughtful, more forgiving. You give and give, hoping that one day she'll look at you like she used to. But she won't. Because emotionally she's already gone. And you? You're still stuck, trying, wishing, and offering pieces of yourself to someone who's no longer catching them. What you're really doing is trying to convince someone of your worth. Hoping to be seen again. To matter again. To be chosen again. But love was never meant to be a sales pitch. Your value isn't up for debate. And it sure as hell shouldn't need constant proof, especially not for someone who's already decided to look the other way. Every time you wait for her to come around, to text first, to show she still cares, you're not holding on to hope. You're trading your peace for a possibility that's fading fast. You keep pouring energy into someone who stopped pouring back. And little by little, you disappear in the process. Your self-trust weakens. Your mind spins in circles of what-ifs, and maybe she just needs time. You call that love. But that's not love. That's survival. That's emotional hunger disguised as devotion. That's abandoning you to hold on to her. Because real love doesn't make you feel like a ghost. It doesn't leave you begging to be acknowledged. It doesn't demand that you prove you matter. Real love is mutual. Real love flows both ways. If you're the only one keeping the flame alive, then the fire is already out. You're not in love, you're in limbo. Waiting on someone who's already left the room and locked the door behind them. And the more you defend their silence, the longer you stay stuck in that empty space, clutching onto something that's already gone. But the day you stop making excuses, that's the day you start taking yourself back. That's the moment you reclaim your power. Because here's what you need to remember. You deserve someone who doesn't leave you in the dark about how they feel. You deserve effort that's given freely. Presence that doesn't need to be begged for. Peace, not a daily battle in your own head. Love, real love, is a two-way street. If it's not mutual, it's not love. At its heart, love isn't meant to be confusing. It's not a mind game. It's not something you're supposed to decode or chase every day just to feel secure. Real love is steady. It's there not just when things are easy or convenient, but always. It checks in because it wants to. It notices the small things. It cares out loud, with no hesitation, no prompting, no conditions. If you're constantly questioning her tone, wondering why she took so long to reply, second-guessing whether wanting connection makes you clingy, that's not love. That's emotional unease. Love should never feel like walking on eggshells. It should never make you wonder where you stand. Because love is steady. Love is clear. You don't have to prove yourself to keep it. You don't have to chase it to make it stay. Love breathes with both people equally. If it only flows one way, it's not love. And if you're the only one putting in the effort, the only one calling, checking in, trying to keep it all from falling apart, then what you're holding onto isn't love. It's dependency. And that won't bring you peace. It won't bring you joy. Ask yourself honestly, do you feel safe with her? Do you feel chosen, valued, genuinely seen? Because when someone truly cares, they don't just say it, they show it. They pay attention. They show up when it counts. They make room for you not just when it's convenient, but when it's tough. Behind that pretty selfie, a mind flooded with second thoughts. A heart quietly aching for what slipped away. Behind that bold caption about healing, Tears soaked into a pillow that still carries your scent. Behind the curated perfection, a heaviness she can't quite outrun, no matter how far she travels or how loud the music plays. She doesn't post because she's moved on. She posts to distract, to mask the silence that creeps in when the crowd fades, to bury the truth that something still feels missing. Every photo, a shield. Every caption, a costume. Every story, a wall keeping the world out and the chaos in. She's not as far ahead as she wants you to think. She's not celebrating freedom. She's surviving the fallout. There's a war happening inside her, and Instagram won't show you the battlefield. She's trying to patch the hole where love used to live, with likes, with noise, with anything that'll numb the ache. But when the lights go down, when the drinks wear off and the laughter fades, when she's alone, phone in hand, staring into the dark, that's when your voice returns. That's when she presses play on memories she can't forget. She revisits the feeling of being loved by a man who saw beyond her appearance, who truly understood her. And that memory? It cuts deeper than any sad song she blasts through her headphones to block it out. It echoes louder than every polished quote she shares about being strong. But the moment you break the silence, the moment you reach out in weakness, you take the weight off her chest. You give her relief, a temporary fix, a hit of validation that soothes the sting just enough. Now she doesn't have to feel it all. She doesn't have to sit with the reality of losing someone irreplaceable. Not if you keep showing her the door's still open. But if you stay quiet, if you choose dignity over impulse, you let the silence speak louder than any words ever could. You let it settle into her thoughts. You let it chip away slowly, deeply. And that silence? It becomes unbearable. Not because you're punishing her, but because she's finally forced to face what she gave up. No post, no praise, no playlist, no party can reach the place inside her that you once filled. And in that stillness, where the noise fades and distractions run out, that's where real regret is born. Not in public, not in comments or captions, but alone, in the quiet corners of her mind. The illusion of moving on is just that, an illusion. A carefully staged performance for the outside world, while inside she's wrestling with a storm only she can feel. And the longer your silence holds, the harder it becomes for her to keep the act together. Small cracks form, then doubts, then a flood of what if I let go of the best thing I ever had? You must not react. You must not chase. You must not fold. Because with every day you stay quiet, every story you don't check, every step you take building a life without her, you grow larger in her memory. You become the one who didn't just walk away, you rose. You feel it. Deep down you know it shifted. But instead of stepping back, you push harder. You tell yourself it's just a rough patch. That what you had is still there, just hidden under the quiet. So you keep trying harder and harder, believing that if you love enough, if you give enough, you can bring it all back. But all you're doing is draining yourself in a space that no longer fills you. You keep pouring into someone who's stopped pouring anything back. And slowly, without meaning to, you begin to believe that this version, the distant one, the one-sided one, is all you're worthy of. That's the danger. You confuse how hard you're trying with how much you matter. You think effort equals value. You think if you just keep showing up, she'll start seeing you again. But in the process you stop seeing yourself. You start bending, shrinking, silencing your needs, compromising your peace. Not because it's right, but because you're scared she'll walk further away. But here's the truth you can't keep avoiding. The more you chase who she used to be, the further you drift from who you are. And the tighter you hold on to the past, the more you let your future slip right through your hands. You can't evolve while holding on to someone who's quietly slipping away. This isn't about blame, it's about being honest with yourself. She may not even realize how distant she's become. Maybe she didn't mean to cause pain. But that doesn't erase the way her silence or disinterest has already left its mark. Now it's up to you, not her, to draw the line. Not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. To stop giving your loyalty to a version of her that's no longer real. And once that clicks, everything starts to shift. You stop chasing. You stop refreshing your messages hoping for a response. You stop tearing yourself apart trying to find the perfect thing you should have said. Instead, you remember who you were before you started bending just to stay wanted. You realize the only thing that can pull you out of this is the very thing you gave up, your self-respect. Because when love becomes one-sided, When you're the only one trying, the only one reaching, the only one showing up? The answer isn't to try harder. It's not in more texts, more chances, or swallowing your needs to keep the peace. And it's not in waiting for closure that may never come. The real way forward is simple: you stand up and you choose you. That's where healing begins. Self-respect isn't some cliché or trendy phrase. It's not just something men preach in tough moments. It's the anchor that keeps you from disappearing while trying to hold on to someone else. It's the quiet voice that says, I matter. My feelings are real. My time isn't cheap. And my effort means something. When you truly respect yourself, you stop running after people who wouldn't even flinch if you walked away. You stop handing your heart to someone who only bothers when it suits them. And more than anything, you stop letting their opinion of you shape your value. The moment you stop begging her to care, to respond, to remember what you were, that's the moment you start finding yourself again. The power you gave away waiting on a reply that never came, you reclaim it. The moment you stop begging her to care, to respond, to remember what you were, that's the moment you start finding yourself again. The power you gave away waiting on a reply that never came, you reclaim it. The confidence that crumbled while trying to decode her distance, you rebuild it. And that peace you surrendered for a little attention, you earn it back, slowly, intentionally, with every boundary you set. When you stop texting just to feel seen, something shifts. You start seeing you again. And for the first time in a while, you remember that you're worth showing up for. You stop being the guy who shrinks just to be accepted. And you become the man who raises his bar because deep down he knows he's worth more than bare minimum love. And when that shift happens, everything starts to align. Not all at once. Not without struggle. But completely. You stop tossing and turning over someone who doesn't even think twice about you. You stop feeling ashamed for wanting the same kind of love you so freely give. You start standing firm in your worth, clear on who you are, and unwilling to trade your peace for temporary validation. That pressure in your chest, the one whispering you're never enough, always too much, always the one messing up, it begins to fade. Not because she came around, but because you did. Self-respect isn't rage. It's not payback. It's remembering who you were before you bent so far just to keep her attention. You stop being the backup, the emotional cushion, the guy she calls when it's convenient, and you start being the one who chooses himself. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first. It stings. But the ache of letting go is nothing compared to the emptiness of staying unseen. And somewhere in that stillness, after the silence, after the hurt, after the noise clears, you find something solid. The kind that only comes when you're no longer chasing love. Because you finally decided to give it back to the one person who truly needed it most, and that's you. When you start giving yourself what you kept hoping she'd offer, respect, consistency, validation, you stop relying on someone else to tell you who you are. You stop settling for scraps and start building something solid, something that reflects the man you're becoming. And with time, you'll see it clearly. Self-respect doesn't chase. It doesn't beg. It doesn't sit in silence waiting to be noticed. It walks away not out of spite, but because it knows the line between love and emotional emptiness. So ask yourself honestly, are you done trying to prove your worth keeping to someone who doesn't even try to hold on? Are you ready to finally be enough for you? Because the moment you answer yes, everything shifts. That's when you stop enduring love and start experiencing it. From here you have two choices: keep chasing silence and wondering why it still hurts, or leave the ones who overlook you and start rebuilding. The first choice keeps you stuck. The second one sets you free. No one's coming to pull you out of her distance. No magic text is going to explain it all. Because deep down you already know the truth. She doesn't care like she used to. And that, right there, is your closure. You don't need someone's approval to know your worth. You don't need to be picked to prove you matter. The longer you wait for validation, the more life you miss out on. The life you were built for. The man you're meant to become. If this message snapped something awake in you, if it made you sit up and feel something real, drop a comment below. Awake. So I know you didn't just watch, you heard it. And if you want more of this raw, honest, no fluff messages that challenge you, call you out, and help you rise, hit that subscribe button. This is for the man who's done sleeping on himself. Thanks for being here.